Hello and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday. This is Trevor, and today we're going to be talking about a few golden nuggets, a few hidden things, not necessarily hidden, but less talked about aspects of Infusionsoft that hopefully are going to be able to be meaningful and help save you a little bit of time and headache. So first thing, if we, for example, just navigate over to the dashboard, maybe some of you have seen this in the past where this little box pops up saying that you have a task. Now, in some instances, that can be really great, depending on the frequency of the tasks and who's managing them. Obviously, these can be very useful, but for some of them, either hitting dismiss or snooze and not getting back to them, or just simply not wanting them, can be uh, a little bit of a challenge for those who are having to always deal with them and might have quite literally 30 to 40 tasks pop up every time they log in. So there are ways to manage that. There are ways to get notified without having to do a task reminder pop up. And let's actually discuss real quick. I'm just going to hit snooze for 5 minutes. Let's discuss real quick, how is it set up for one, and then how can we adjust it or approach it differently. So if we go to our campaign builder, go under the setup I have for past due reminders. So those are, at least when set on an automated basis, they're done in the campaign in a sequence and then under the task. And so here's the specific task, please call so-and-so, they need to be followed up with, assigned to the owner. But down here we have the pop-up reminder, and it's set to pop up 5 minutes before the due date. And since I didn't put a specific time, which is not required, whatever date I create this on, it's going to pop up immediately. So to be able to do that, you can actually just change it back to please select one, and this will stop the pop-ups from occurring. So if you want just simply the tasks to be there and you can go and navigate them, this is how you would do it. You just simply do not select a, a pop-up reminder to be selected. Now, if you want to be notified, you can notify owner, which would send you an email, but again, that's going to be a one per person type of an approach. Another approach, just as a side note, that you can take is under the process section, there's something called a fulfillment list, which in some cases is actually used, as a fulfillment process to be able to let a fulfillment house ship goods and know addresses and whatnot of the clients. But it can actually be used as well to pull together lists of clients and email whoever you would like a CSV file of those clients and any information that you want to include. So if we add that little icon, if we open it up, let's just take a quick glance. So again, this would be, rather than having to be bombarded with emails or task pop-ups, this is one option that you can do to set to come, for example, daily or weekly or whenever you want, and still have a list of all of those clients that need to be followed up with or whatever the action is there. So delivery options real quick, adding to a user's dashboard, which is just adding it to the jobs list, like a letter would be. And if you also just click, in this case, an email address, then we'll be able to put who the from address is, who the to address is, and you can select other and hard code in one. The only quick side note here is the from and the to should not be the same. Whatever you want to change it to, if you have another alter, email address that you can use for that, be preferable. If they are coming from and to the same address, sometimes you'll actually find deliverability issues just specifically for that reason. So if you click this little checkbox, this is where we can determine how frequently you get that email. So batch until there are X to fulfill, but don't wait longer than this many days. So if you put this down to 1 day and you can increase that as high as you want, that means no matter how many you get a day, it'll be sent once a day. That's it. And obviously, unless you cross that threshold of the number. The attachments you traditionally shouldn't have to worry about because they're specific attachments that are not alterable. You can't merge in data into the attachment. The fields, however, are actually referring to the CSV file that would be coming your way in that email. Now, you can see right here, it's basically giving us almost all of the fields. If you only want the first name, last name, email, and that's sufficient, then great. Go ahead and just hover over the other fields here, minus, 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 so on and so forth until you only have the fields that you want. You can obviously add and then select any of the custom fields that you might want. But again, up to you on what you include and don't include here. So that's just something to keep in mind. Fulfillment lists can be a great way to still know exactly who needs to be followed up with if you don't want to have it in a tag list or be emailed or even create a saved search for that matter. This is just another way to do it. So another thing that is often questioned is, so we can see right here we have an email confirmation request, right? So I'm going to delete what we had up here. And let's use this as our example. So before you actually start your marketing efforts, if you're using this little email confirmation bucket, you can see if we click into it, I don't have that little box here to be able to add things to the sequence. I can't delete any of these icons. If I go inside of this confirmation email, you'll notice I only have really one paragraph that I can edit. I can't change this one here. To confirm your request, please click here. So on and so forth. So I can only affect this one. Now, if that's okay with you and that's how you want it to be, then great. But some don't. Some don't like that. They want changes. They want to be able to set up reminders to be able to say if they didn't opt in off the first attempt, I'm going to give them another attempt to opt in, but I want my message to be different, or maybe the thank you page that they're presented after they click to opt in should be different based on the marketing efforts you're putting forth. And so there's a number of reasons why you might want your own custom approach to this. So it actually requires a few different steps because traditionally speaking, as long as you're using it as intended, in other words, you're representing it as an email confirmation link, then there's no problem. But one of the reasons Infusionsoft makes it difficult to do your own custom one, or at least less evident, is sometimes through the way I'm going to show you, you can actually represent it to be something other than an email confirmation link, and that's obviously something you want to avoid doing. And so what I'm going to show you is under the assumption that obviously you're going to use it as intended. So we're going to grab a sequence here, and let's just build out a little bit of framework. So instead of a link click goal, when I'm building my own custom one, I can still, again, similarly to this, wait until they've clicked and only then move them forward. But I cannot do that off of the link click goal. It has to be a tag that they get. And so we can just say clicked to confirm, something like that. And this might just be email confirmation. We can even call it the same thing. That's great. So again, somehow they get entered. There's a process. They get a tag at some point, we don't know how yet, that they click to confirm. And let's go ahead and just create that tag real quick. And let's just say opted in. Okay. All right, so here in the email confirmation request, there's actually two parts of our process. One is in the campaign, and then one is outside. So if we, again, come under here, and whether we want to build a reminder or not, that's fine. Just to real quick clarify, because I found so many people don't understand this, in the email confirmation request, this timer here is not actually limiting in any way, because again, the sequence, the blue square with the white flag, says when a goal is achieved. In that case, it was when they click the link. In this case, same thing, but they get a tag because of it. When a goal is achieved, the sequence will stop immediately. So this timer quite literally could be 6 months. It doesn't matter how long the timer is, because again, it's going to stop them as soon as they click. Now, you might ask yourself, why do we even need a timer? The timer is there because it'll actually keep them active in the blue number. If you recall, under the performance tab, you have a blue number on top, orange number on bottom. It'll keep them active, available to click the link and still have it recognized to move on longer. This is more of a side note, but the orange number is what's referred to as queued. And so in this case, if I have, the blue number and orange number here, and let's actually just turn this on because it might not actually be making sense what I'm referring to. So I'm just going to publish it real quick. Great. So you see what I'm talking about. Blue number, orange number, click to confirm, right? So in this example, we have the blue number are the active people waiting and going through this sequence. Orange number are one of two types of people. One, they've reached the end of the sequence and they haven't met the criteria to move on. In other words, in this case, they haven't clicked the link. Or two, like over here, they may not have anything actually following the sequence. So the sequence is dead-ended. So they've reached the end and there's nothing else for them to do, so they fall into this orange number called queued. You can think of it like inactive, basically. So the reason I'm describing this is that when you move from active to queued, on the back end you have 7 days to be able to fulfill whatever the action is, like clicking the link or so on and so forth. If beyond the 7 days, and that's hard-coded, you can't change it, beyond the 7 days, even if they do fill out the form or click the link, according to the campaign, they're fully inactive at that point and will not move on even if they perform the action. So to get around that, a lot of people, and the system included, adds a little timer there just to give them a little bit more time. So obviously you have a 3-day timer here that actually is giving them overall, again, considering the time they start into the queued status, they have 7 days. So that obviously gives them 10 days to click the link. If beyond that they click it, then we already discussed it. So let's now that that's a little bit clearer for us, that makes more sense of why we want a timer here. And you can again create this as long as you want, or maybe a few days and give a reminder and then a timer at the end, whatever you want to do. So let's get back to business here. We have now an email confirmation right there. Let's go ahead and open it up. So right here, let's go ahead and just change this a little bit. We're obviously talking to the client. We might just say, one more thing, please. We're going to say, then click here. And we might just say, clicking the link above will opt, or will your permission to send this great content. Obviously you can change that, make it whatever you want. The reason I'm not actually writing click here and linking it in any way is the way that the opt-in works is when you create your own opt-in link, you choose what the opt-in link text will be. In this case, it's almost always click here. You can make it whatever you want, but in this case, I'm going to keep it click here. But to now get that text, to get the link to be able to insert here so it'll actually show up as an opt-in link, is where we have to get out of the campaign. So again, we have our email set. We know that somehow they're going to get the tag when they click it, but let's actually see how that works now. So hop out of the campaign, go into your marketing settings. And this is actually interesting because I changed it in the campaign, but this I created separately. So in fact, in my example, I'm going to dismiss it. Okay, we're again under marketing settings. On the left-hand side, click automation links. We see here our confirmation links are displaying. So let's create a confirmation link and let's name it. This is internally used for this name. And we might just say, in my case, I'll just say example opt-in link, right? So as I mentioned, you get to choose the text. So as I scroll down right here, it says link text, leave blank to display the actual link. In this case, I'm just going to say click here, okay? So you'll notice I only have the confirmation page appearance. I don't have any other way to apply a tag yet. So if I click save, you'll see now I have another tab. It says actions. So if I click on actions, now I can choose again. This action is only when they're clicking this link to opt in. I can scroll down, find the tag I have created, or create one if I didn't already do that. Save. So again, this is saying obviously if they click the link, they'll now get the opted in tag. You can spend your time under the confirmation page appearance, make it look how you will. The only thing, just as a side note, I'm sure if you've ever worked with this before, you've seen this, but the only piece you cannot change is the little header that'll appear at the very top. And unfortunately, no, even if you insert a logo, you can't make that appear below the logo. The logo will appear always, everything will appear below this message. You have two choices of how it displays. One is with a black text with a white background, just like you see here, or you can have a white text with a black background, which is only meaning it's going to outline this in a black box and the text will be white. So make your choices there. I'm going to call that good, save and close it. There we go. Now you can see it's present. So now that I have that link, now I have to actually go somewhere to get the merge field that's going to represent this link to be able to pull into the campaign. And I do that under marketing templates. You may have to watch this process a time or two to get the swing of it, but once you have it, it'll make sense. So again, marketing templates, I cannot do this at all under the campaign builder. I have to come to marketing templates for this. It's not found anywhere under the merge field. I have to actually get into an email body. The template you use is actually doesn't matter. But once I'm here, let's go ahead and just get rid of some of that text so we can see it better. So I'm going to click right up here under this button that says links. Okay, give that a click. Opens this little window, and now you can see it says example opt-in link. So I'll just click where I want to insert it, and that gives me the merge field. There's no other way to get it. If I copy this, now you might be thinking, okay, well, if I can insert it into the templates, why don't I just build the template first and then pull that in, copy it from a template, into the campaign? Everything will pull in if you do that, except this merge field. It will not pull in unless with the recent update they've adjusted it, but to my knowledge that has not been changed. So again, copy your link there, literally just copy it out. You don't have to worry about this template. It actually was its only use, so you don't even have to save it. Come on back to the campaign builder. It's still in the past due reminders campaign that we created. Let's go back inside here. And again, we already know that we've set it up to show click here, okay? So right here, you can certainly feel free to test that, send it to yourself, send it to whoever you want, and then right there you'll have it. So it will give them the ability to opt in. You can duplicate this email now that you have the proper merge field. You can create your own reminder with different variations, but as you can see, this is obviously allowing you to customize everything. Whenever they click it, at any time, no matter how long you set the timer, as soon as they click it, they'll get this tag. That's the only spot they get it, and then they'll be pulled out and moved on to whatever your marketing is. So again, this is the process to set up your own custom confirmation links. Just to recap again, in the campaign you set up a sequence and you have a tag goal connected to it. The tag goal is whatever you want the tag to be once they click that link. Again, set up externally. And then in here, you obviously have your email created to be whatever you want. And then you hop out of here, go to marketing settings, and then on the left-hand side, click automation links. Create your own custom automation confirmation link. Save it. Then you'll get the Actions tab to be able to set up the tag to get applied. And then after that, you can obviously create any custom confirmation page. In other words, the thank you page once they click on the link, and go to your marketing templates, add it through the links button, copy the merge field, hop back over here, and then paste it in, right? So I know it sounds like a lot, but once you again go through it once or twice, then it's not going to be challenging. So again, that's a little bit of how you build out your own custom opt-in link. So let's actually talk about another option, another thing here that often is not, the ability to get around it is not as well known. So in some of the reports, let's just hop to e-commerce real quick. So your sales reports. In some of the reports, you'll notice that it doesn't allow you to add all of the client's data. So you can't filter really by everything. You can only filter by some things. There are definitely ways to get around that. It just frankly depends on how important getting at the information will be to know if it's worth the few steps that I'm about to show you. One of the examples is the actual receivables report to show, again, any payment plan items that are due, so money that you still need to collect, of course. So you can see if I just hop in here, I haven't queried anything. To show you what I'm going to show you, I'm actually not going to pull up data. You can see ID, sales name, state, various other pieces, right? So let's just say I have a list of data, or maybe I want to search for other things. In this case, let's just talk about exporting the information, and we'll talk about searching with it. So if we have this data and we just simply want to say, okay, for this specific group of people, we'll just assume maybe there's 100 people there. We want to be able to export the information only on this group of people, right? So when we go to our export option, it says, okay, great. Choose the fields you want to export. But as you'll notice, just scan through these. It gives me a lot of fields, but it doesn't give me everything. It's only giving me a lot of order information. One of the key pieces of information you'll notice that is not on here, you have what's called a batch email address, but there's no email address. There's no normal email address. So you can, I mean, obviously manipulate it, do what you will. That's just one example. You can actually see that there's not everything showing here. So feel free on other reports that are the same, but what I wanted to point out is if you actually want the contact information, but only for this specific group of people found in the receivables, this may be very apparent to some, but to others it might be new. So under the Actions dropdown, you can click to apply and remove a tag. So whoever's on this list, you can go ahead and choose whatever tag or create a new one that you want to apply. And then at that point, you can hop over to your contact search, pull up the tag, and then you have all of their contact information that you can export and send to whoever you wish. So again, using tags on these reports are a great way to group together the people that are on the specific report that might have its limitations on the data it can show you, but then can be used in other areas that have more flexibility with that. Same thing is true if you're going to search for it. If you want to say, show me how many people have, still owe me money, maybe that are still in this specific campaign, right? So again, come tag the group, then go over to your marketing reports to be able to pull up the contacts in a specific campaign, and then you can filter using that tag to actually identify who is, again, owes you money that might still be in a specific campaign. And once you have that set, we can actually save it, put it on your dashboard, so on and so forth. But again, tagging, using different reports to say, okay, I know this is my receivables group. I need to tag them at the current moment. Again, the people in the receivables to display for me how many of them are still in the campaign. By default, that's not a recurring report as you might think. So the receivables, again, you're only pulling up that specific group and tagging them. You're not able to get that to be a running total because you just tagged them once. So you can obviously either save that report, put it on your dashboard, save the contacts report, put it on your dashboard, and then whenever you want, go in and do your filter. or you can do it on that kind of one-time basis to show you what I'm talking about. So again, that's a way to use the reports that typically can't access all points of data or be used in other reporting areas, and getting around that a little bit. So let's talk one other area is when it comes to understanding templates versus campaign builder emails. We've already seen one way is that templates obviously can do a few things when it comes to building your own custom opt-in emails, but just on an overarching basis, if you look at the campaign builder, it has its emails that you're establishing, and then there's that drop down in the upper left-hand corner, and let's go to it real quick just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Okay, edit, open this up. This is the drop down I'm referring to once it loads here. There we go. It says email. You open the drop down and you can say use template or copy from campaign or save as template. So again, real quick, you have the emails you build out here can either use existing email templates found in your marketing templates area, or you can save them as templates. Now, let's just discuss a little bit. What's the use of this, or what's the use of a template? So a campaign email are obviously only used by the campaign. You cannot use a straight campaign email to become a master template under your under your admin branding center section. You can't use one from a campaign. You can't use a campaign email in sending an email broadcast to your clients. So that's one difference. However, no matter where you build your emails, you're not limited, because you can, as you can see here, just save it as a template. Just anytime, build them all out in the campaigns if that's where it most makes sense. And then whenever you need them, I wouldn't do this all the time, obviously if it's not needed. But only when you need them, just go into the campaign, save it as a template. It then shows up in your marketing templates area, and then you'll have its ability to use in sending broadcast and making it your master template in any of those areas. Now, the only thing that you'll notice is over in your marketing template section. Again, we just saw on that email drop down in the campaigns, we can easily pull them in. So if you created them here, you can easily still use them in a campaign. But let's just open this email template up real quick and just see one thing. Now, under this edit email body, you'll notice there's a little bit of a drop down. In fact, we click on that, it says use the drag and drop, which is the default, which is how we've always been building the emails on the Webinar Wednesday. You have the use the classic builder or use the code builder. Now, the classic builder gives you some formatting options that typically are not present in the other builders, but you obviously have a lot more limitations. You can't get access to as many tools and benefits as you can through drag and drop. But the only thing to point out here, if you have any email templates built in the classic builder, you cannot pull them into a campaign. You can switch at any time between the code builder and the classic builder, but you cannot have a classic builder email pulled into the campaign. So you can make it a code builder and pull that in, but again, you're obviously not going to be able to visually edit it. You'll have to edit the code, which for some of you would be fine. But that's something that's definitely good to know. If you're wondering why are my emails not showing up, you'll need to make sure that maybe you didn't build them in the classic builder, and you'll just need to switch them to code to pull them into the campaign. So that's a little bit there that sometimes is not as familiar with. Now, speaking of using them in the branding center, let's just talk about one thing here. You have at the bottom of your emails, by default, Infusionsoft's footer, right? It has a little icon, which I think we already discussed if most of you had seen the Webinar Wednesday about your emails and setting up your emails. But for those of you who may not have, if you come to Admin Branding Center and go under the Infusionsoft footer tab, you can obviously see here where it's represented. Now, you can scroll to the bottom and say allow them in the footer, click no on both and save it to totally remove it. But again, you may not necessarily want to remove it if you feel like, you know, it's obviously Infusionsoft gives you different perks if you're referring, and especially through the link at the bottom. So check into that. If it's something you want, great, keep it. If not, you can come here to remove it. The logo section sometimes is not even looked at. This is how you can adjust and set up your default logo regarding your company logo, and that just really pertains to when you're adding in some of the images in the template. There's an actual image snippet, but then there's a logo snippet, and anyway, this is one of the things it pulls from. Especially if you have a master logo, that's where it's talking about pulling from. So that is the main items desired to discuss today. There weren't many questions, in fact, submitted. Mainly, I think, just because there's a lot of interest in some of the areas we're going to talk about today. So feel free, jump in if you've had any questions. If there's anything that we've talked about that didn't seem as clear, or you have more questions about, or there's maybe things we didn't discuss that you would like to know about, feel free to fill out the questions form below, and we'll certainly be happy to reach out and clarify things. So thanks again for watching, and stay tuned for next week. There's going to be some great information coming your way. So thanks again. Take care.